I'm just going to quickly explain how to do a Year 11 prac that involves conservation of energy. I'll show you the physics and how it's done, and then I'll come around and show you how to plug it all in. So it's using our projectile launcher, so using a metal ball bearing that doesn't have a hole in it, and you put it in here, and you've got to push it all the way in. And you pump it up until it squishes. 75 psi is a great number. On the LabQuest 2, you push the little green play button in the corner, and then you push the arm button and then the launch button, and the ball bearing flies out. I normally do this with some pupils holding the ruler and getting the height right at about 75 psi-ish. It's about 1 meter is the vertical height. You can then put the ball bearing on a set of scales. If you tear it with the plastic and put it on, the mass is about 0.0214, 21.4 grams. If you times it by 10 for gravity and times it by 1 meter for the height, then you get 0.214 joules of gravitational potential energy it's gained. So it had kinetic when it was fired, and it gains that amount of potential. If I was to work out how fast it is, then I'd use this equation, EP equals EK, half mv squared, and I go 2 times 0.214. If I type that into my calculator, which I probably should have done before I pushed play, I get 4.47 meters per second. And if you come and have a look, so on the display, you can say speed, which is 4.56. So it's pretty close. And so the way I get that is by pushing the little play button and make sure the ball bearing's in there. And as I drop it through, push it all the way in, so it's in. It's giving me a different speed. So what I do is I pump it. So I've got a pump here that goes in, and you've got to push it until it makes a squishing sound. And as you see, as you pump it, the dial goes up. And so that's at about 75 psi. I then come around and push the arm and the launch buttons, and it fires up. And as it fires, if I push the play button, it would have given me a speed. How has this worked in? Well, the wire goes into digital 2 or digital 1 at the top, and then that wire plugs in to the front left hand box, and so that provides power. And then the LabQuest 2 is plugged in and just into mains power. So that's all that was required. Yeah, so what we're looking at is gravitational potential energy being converted into kinetic, or the other way around. You'll see I've got the 0.05 meters bit, and so if you look at the side of the launcher, it says there's 2 photo gates, and so if you look inside, you can see that there are 2 little sensors, and there's another one if you can see in the bottom down there. And so when the ball comes past the first sensor, it starts the timer. When it goes past the second sensor, it stops the timer, and then it knows that its distance is 0.05 meters, and so velocity is distance over time, it works out the speed. And you want this to be perfectly 90 degrees. Yeah, probably good for extension or for an extra. Doesn't have to be done with every Year 11 class, but something quite neat.